We are going to share this, so we will record this. So a recording of this presentation will be posted on the ILEA website. And let's see, got about 80 people in. I think should probably go ahead and get started as soon as you're ready, Jody.
Okay. Hi and welcome everyone. It's weird not seeing everyone else's faces though. That's what happens in the webinar feature is I can't see you. You can see us as panelists. So I miss seeing your faces. So please do use the chat to let us know if you have any comments. There is a Q&A function as well, and Brian and Alexandra, I think, are both going to kind of man that. And people power that and let me know if there's comments as we're talking. So my name is Jody Paulson. I'm a CSEP. I have been for about 6 years. I have over 23 years experience. I have been focusing most of my career in corporate and not-for-profit, and the past, 15 years or so has been in post-secondary education, and with a really strong focus on milestone celebrations like centennials, and right now I'm currently working for Athabasca University in Edmonton here, celebrating 50 years. So you'll see some of that branding right here. I just got these brand new boxes. I'm quite tickled about them. We're about to celebrate our virtual convocation coming up in a couple of weeks, so it's a busy time. But thank you very much for joining us. I have Brian Reach, who is our CSEP support from ILEA HQ, and I have Alexandra Long. And Alexandra, I apologize, I don't know what your title is.
I am the membership coordinator for ILEA.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Brian is going to help me along in the presentation with some of the administrative parts of application and things. So we can move right on with 86 people. We also have Sarah Cisna, who is from the ILEA Board of Governance, and she is on the CSEP committee. And then we have Jen Poyer, who was the former Board of Governors person who a representative on CSEP committee last year. And I think there's a number of CSEPs that are also on the call, and one of them I'm just going to do a shout out because I just saw his name, Darren Degner, who is from BC. He is our regional ambassador in Canada for our BC region, and Darren and I have worked together a couple of times on a prep workshop for CSEP prior to the change in the exam. So welcome, Darren. It's great to see you. So thanks again for joining us today. We know that it was a little bit short notice saying that we were going to do this, but we wanted to get it to you in a timely manner so that you have the opportunity to get ready and prepare and apply and be part of that first intake of our exams that's going to be launching in October. So, Brian, do you have anything else you want to add to the welcome?
No, so as Jody had said, I am the Director of Information Systems and Credentialing for ILEA, but basically that means I am the CSEP staff person. So I'm happy to see so much interest on here. I'm also your point of contact if you have any questions, and I will be providing my email address in the chat, and it's also on the ILEA website. So just super excited to see how much interest there was in today's webinar, and how much we've been hearing from everyone over the past month or so as we've been launching the new exam.
It's great. We're very, very happy about the interest. We are looking to have record-breaking intake for our first window of exam. So yeah, if you're interested, this particular session is going to be a high-level look at how to do it, what to know, the new testing model, who's the ideal candidate, qualifications, application process. We're going to do a bit of a a dive into the new exam blueprint, and then we'll end off with some Q&A. We're hoping to keep it to the hour mark. But as Brian stated, we'll put some contact information in the chat feature so that you can reach out to us. And we are all here to help. The entire committee is here to help in order to get you ready for taking the exam. So let's dive right in and let's talk about the new testing model. So we've been working, a number of committees have been working really hard for more than a year on developing a brand new exam with our exam provider Yardstick. And there was a group of us that started off by traveling to Toronto and talking about the exam blueprint and determining what that looks like and how we themed subjects together and stuff. It is a modernized system for test taking, and it includes a remote proctoring, which is a really cool way of taking exam. I freaked out when I was about to take mine. I thought I had to go to Vancouver, not a terrible place to go, but in fact there was a testing center in Edmonton. But now your testing center is in the privacy of your own home. All you need to have on your, you need a computer, obviously, you need a camera, and you need to have a really good internet connection, and there'll be someone that will be proctoring or watching you as you take your exam to make sure you're following all the rules and guidelines. There's also a simplified system for grading that offers a faster return on scoring for candidates. In the past model, your exams, the essay part of the exams were sent to 3 different CSEPs for grading, and then those grades were averaged together to get you your final grade. Now it is a 100% a multiple choice questions, so your results are very, very quick. There is also an enhanced data collection for analysis on the back end of the exam, which is great. On an annual basis, we'll do some exam development that includes writing new questions and reviewing the current performance of the exam. So we'll make sure that it's constantly up to date. We already talked about it having increased access to the worldwide by being self-proctored and being able to in your own home. There'll be about 120-ish multiple choice exams or multiple choice questions on the exam, and it takes between 2.5 to 3.5 hours. I'm not sure if the maximum is 3.5 hours. They say the minimum is 2.5 hours.
It's actually, it is 2.5 hours. Now that we have the final question count, it's on the lower end. It's about 120 questions. So 2.5 hours is the time now.
Is the allotted? Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks.
New information.
There you go. Our first exam window is from October 1st to the 30th, and then we'll take a little bit of time, correct, Brian, to kind of validate the responses and stuff, do the first initial marking, and then another window will open early in 2021. Is that correct?
At the latest. So. Yeah. Basically, the first exam period is the month of October, and as soon as that exam window is closed, we will be pulling all of the performance data, sending it to a psychometrician, and they will be coming up with the pass score. So the initial group taking the exam during October will have to wait a little while to get their scores so that we can get that set score or the pass score determined. And then once that's happened, we're actually going to open up the exam fully to 365-day a year testing. But this first window is key. And once we get through that part, for future exam attempts, if you don't pass in October, or for future candidates, they'll be able to get their results very quickly.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's talk about the ideal candidate. That's all of you. It's all 93 of you that are on the call right now. So the ideal candidate is someone who has a really broad knowledge of the events world, has 3 to 5 years experience, has a vested interest in maintaining a set core of competencies across the industry. They can assemble and manage an event and the team that's required for a large event. They can lead strategic conversations. internally and externally. They can uphold ILEA standard of professional conduct and ethics, and they have a sound understanding of the skills required to have those conversations at a management level and apply critical thinking. In today's world, there'll be there's obviously a new focus on risk and mitigation and safety, and that is reflected in the new test. We were writing this during COVID, so it was always a part of the test, but it is something that is becoming a critical skill to have as an event professional. So that is definitely an area of focus. Yeah, so you don't have to be in any one particular area, but if you're a caterer or if you're a vendor that's in a rental company, you do have to look at it as an event professional in the whole body. So if you're not a planner, you do have to do a little bit of work to make yourself familiar with the way to plan an event. And I think that there are, we'll talk about the resources and the study tools that are available to you right now as we move forward to prepare for this exam. I'm going to turn it over to Brian so we can talk about qualification and application process.
Absolutely, and I'm just answering the question really quick that came up about the application. So basically, the application is pretty simple. It's online, and it just walks you through a couple basic steps, providing all of your contact information, choosing your pathway, and then uploading the documentation of meeting that pathway. So there are 3 pathways for becoming a CSEP. Pathway 1 is 5 years of proven full-time experience in the events industry. There are also 2 additional pathways for those that have less years in the events industry, but have additional qualifications, either having a current CSEP write a letter of recommendation, or having a recognized certificate or diploma or from a recognized hospitality or events industry program. So we accept a number of types of documentation of work experience. One thing that I did want to specify is if you are uploading things like tax forms, we do ask that you black out your social security number. We prefer not to have that on file. So please, you can delete it, you can redact it, you can scribble it out and scan it back in, that's fine. But we did realize when we were starting to get applications that we were having to kind of erase that out and make sure that we were careful with that. So please do remove anything like that from your applications. And then for education verification, we have transcripts, basically anything that shows where and what the degree was so that we can review it. So the application is online, and let me see if I can turn off this slideshow. Are you able to see my desktop now? Okay, great. So on the ILEA website, there is the CSEP dropdown. I would just go ahead and click CSEP, it's easier. And this is the landing page. You can sign up for updates on the CSEP program, and then following the navigation, find a whole bunch of other information about becoming a CSEP. I will say just a little tip. The drop down kind of goes left and right, as you can see, and it's kind of hard to go all the way over without losing your place. So if you just go ahead and click become a CSEP, the menu does have all of those options, or the page has all of those menu options. It's a lot easier to use that, so I recommend you just do it that way. But as you can see, you can review qualifications, preparing, reading lists, practice exams, the exam blueprint, and then the exam application. And the exam application, again, is pretty simple. You start out by just filling out your information, and then it asks for you to choose your pathway, upload your work experience, and then agree to follow the rules, follow the code of ethics, and then upload your payment form. For those of you that were previously approved, we are asking that you still submit an application. That is one thing that I did want to specify, mainly because we want to be pulling all this information from one place. But also a lot of people that were approved a year ago or 2 years ago. We want to make sure we have your most updated email, contact information, and that you select your pathways so that when we're analyzing the results from the CSEP, the new exam, we're able to really be smart about seeing how performance is based on what pathway people are choosing, based on the sort of information and experience that they're documenting, so that we can do a better job of continuously fine-tuning the exam and making it as reflective a measure of competence in the industry as possible. So if you did get previously approved, you don't have to pay the exam application fee again. You just have to pay the retake fee. But we do ask that you submit an application. You don't have to wait to be approved, but when you upload your payment form, just write in the payment form that you were previously approved, or upload an email that you have that from your prior approval, anything that documents it. But we do have record of it too. So if you put prepaid, we'll know where to look. Just to make sure you're in there. But we do want you to submit an application so that we have updated info. And we do have instructions that have been sent out to everybody that had prepaid, especially those that were waiting to take the exam for the first time. We have provided them with instructions on how to do exactly that with the upload form. If you didn't get that information, feel free to email either me directly using the information I provided in the chat, or you can email the info box, info@ileahub.com, and it'll get forwarded to me, and I'll reply to you as quickly as possible.
We have a couple of questions that have been posted here. Will there be a study guide for the exam? We are planning on developing a form of study guide. We do have some study tools for you right now. There is not one that is ready to go at this point. What happens if you don't pass the test the first time? As Brian just said, you can retake the test. You don't have to pay another exam application fee. You'll just have to pay the $350 exam fee. And so if you are not successful the first time, you can take it as many times as you want. You just have to pay the $350 exam fee each time. A question here, how helpful are the practice tests you provide? Well, they are old retired tests, so they are very practical. They will give you, it's in the format of the previous testing, but the content is still valid for sure. So I would think they are very, very helpful. And can a non-ILEA member take the CSEP? Absolutely. The CSEP tab on ILEA Hub is in front of the login information. And so we want CSEPs around the world. We love it if you become an ILEA member, but it is not mandatory. And the last question, we do not know the passing score yet, do we, Brian?
No, like I said, we'll have to get through the first testing period, and then we have a psychometrician firm that'll be doing some analysis and making sure that that is set.
The 350 is US funds, and the October exam dates are October 1 through 30th. And do we have any CSEP for Mississauga, Toronto study group? So I'm going to ask Brian to put my contact information in the email box. I don't think Kimberly Bowen is on here, but on this call. And if she is, she should raise her hand. But she is in the Toronto area and she may be able to help you. She is our ambassador for Ontario. And so I can get that information to you if you send me an email. Lots of questions, tons of questions. Our practice exams set up with the same amount of questions. I'm waiting for approval from the management ILEA for membership. That'd be helpful for a course webinar to prepare. Our practice exams set up with the same type of questions. Well, they're not the exact same type of questions, Renee. They are definitely retired questions that are in those exams, and that's why we're able to publish them. And so they are very helpful, very useful as a practice. I'm not sure the process of a practice exam. Brian, can you tell us if when you buy a practice exam, do you get to download it and take it multiple times? Do you take it once? How does that work?
So it is once, and it's online. So the practice exams are hosted on, I'll actually go ahead and show you. So on our practice exams, if you click to take one, you'll see that it sends you to Class Marker up here on the top. So Class Marker is the company that that hosts, or where these practice exams are held. And the $59.99 US is per attempt. So you'll be able to take it online, submit it, and you'll get results that give you detailed or domain level information. So you'll be able to see which areas you're doing particularly well in, and where you might want to focus a little bit on your studies or on preparation.
Timelines, Brian, can you just go over the timelines for the application deadline, the scheduling, the exams, and
Absolutely. So we would like for as many people as possible to preferably submit their applications by September 15th. That is not a firm deadline. That is ideal for us because we can't guarantee that a date be available or a time be available. So the exam is 100% virtual. You can take it from home, but there needs to be a proctor who will monitor your attempts via webcam. So just making sure that they have some availability. The recommendation is that if you're 10 days to 2 weeks out, you can pretty much have your pick. So that's why we want September 15th to be the date most people submit, because the exams won't be available until October 1st, or the sit dates. So if we have it in by then, you should have plenty of time to choose pretty much any day in October and any time that's convenient for you. If you do submit late, we'll accept it, we'll review it, but we can't guarantee that you'll be able to take the exam on October 1st or on October 10th. You'll just have to go through the system and see which dates are available. And like Jody said, the exam window is for the entire month of October. So after the 31st, we'll be pulling all of the results, sending it to the psychometrician company, and probably 2 weeks later in mid-November, that's when results will be provided for that first group. And then we should have an idea probably by the end of November when we'll be able to reopen the exam for future periods. But our plan is to open it up for 365-day testing after this initial launch. So that is the timeline for now.
Thank you. So we've got a couple more questions. They're asking if the study tools are for the October sitting are on the website, and yes, they are. So on the website are links to the exam blueprint, which we're going to look at right away, which also focuses on the weighting of each area. It also talks about the Apex glossary. There's a link to the Apex glossary. The links to purchase exams are on there. And then you can also access all of the your regional or chapter level ILEA programming, education and programming that's around. That could definitely be a positive addition to your studying. And then look for regional CSEP or chapter version CSEP sessions. You'll get a different view of the exam. It will be more about people's, they usually have someone from the committee And then they'll have other CSEPs that can talk to you about what worked for them during their study period, if they might have some like some tools that they created on their own. I know when I was taking mine, there was an online quiz that you could use that someone developed on like a gaming site. That was kind of cool. And so there are lots of different ways of looking at that. And the best way to do it is to talk to people who are also interested in taking the exam. And like I said, connect and coordinate with your local and regional chapters. So let's pull up the exam blueprint and let's do a little bit of a look there. And this was I think it was 2 days or 3 days we were into Toronto building this. And it was, we definitely, so in the past it was called the course outline. And the course outline had pre-production, was it now? Now I forget. I think it was design and development, pre-event, during the event, and post-event.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it had 4 different sections, and within that it had a number of areas that you could focus on and weightings. So we designed the new exam blueprint in a very similar way. I say we because I was part of this task force that went to Toronto for this particular work. And so we looked at the competency frameworks and the weightings that we would want the ideal candidate to represent. And so that strategic outlook and alignment is weighted at between 18 and 20%. So if there were exactly 100 questions, then we would be looking at about 20 questions. So that's basically how that works. These people, like what we were looking at there was for the people that can provide and set direction for future decisions about the production process of live events. We want them to ensure proper alignment with client goals and objectives. They collect relevant information through various methods in order to properly scope the proposed project. And they outline key considerations as the development of a strategic plan, and they determine they determine important process in evaluating the event's success. So these are, this is the strategic part of event design and development. This is when you have a client that says, I want a conference. And I want 400 people there, and I want it to look cool. And then you kind of go, okay, so what can we do for you? So this is that part of it is you know, you looking at time management, you're looking at, you're looking at evaluating your project scope, you're looking at developing the strategic plan, and you're setting the direction for the event. You're applying data analysis to guide the event design and assess the impact. You're looking at what the client needs and how you answer that need is all part and parcel of that section. Now, there are specific things that we want you to focus on when you look at strategic outlook and alignment, and that blueprint is very, very clear on what those elements are. The next phase is project management. And again, it's weighted between 26 and 36%, 38%. These numbers are really hard to read. This teeny tiny print, when you download this, I would like to magnify it. So when planning an event, we all become project managers. The event is the project. Managing multiple tasks at any given time, managing project timelines, managing vendors, negotiating contracts. You know, it depends on what kind of business or industry you're in. But if you have your own company, then you've also got like your business process to go through as well, like payroll and things. If you're a contractor or an employee like I am, then I don't have to worry about that stuff. When I get an invoice, I look at it, I make sure that it's accurate, and I send it to finance to process. But the idea is that you know from end to end of what happens in an event. You might not be an expert in every single area, but you do need to have a broad knowledge of what that entails. So in the project management section, we just divided it up into time management, financial management, people management, and stakeholder management. And we figured that those 4 groupings were very accurate in the kind of project management skills that we'd be looking at for a CSEP. And then we have risk management, which is between 10 and 12% weighting, depending on the test that you get that day. In this particular area, we're looking at someone that would be able to identify, evaluate, and assess risks that may threaten attendees, the event itself, or stakeholders. We're looking at someone who can manage ongoing process of assessing the risk and apply appropriate measures to manage the probability and the consequences of such a task. We're looking at someone who knows how to determine permit requirements and ensures that there is compliance, that they can also ensure proper insurance coverage, including liability, event insurance, and any other additional insurances you may need. And right now, insurance is like the bomb because it saved a lot of people, but it also, if you think, oh, that's never going to happen to me. Well, look what happened with COVID. It can happen. And so, you know, it is a valuable thing to educate yourself on. We're also looking for someone that demonstrates the duty of care and development and the execution of events. You wouldn't want to put 1,000 people on an island with one bridge in and out. That's probably not the best event execution decision to have one exit for 1,000 people on an island. So it's you know, kind of thinking about, okay, so if something happens there, what would happen there, and being able to evaluate that as you're designing your event is very important. The next section is event management, event design, and event execution. Pretty strong rating here, but 28 to 34%. And this is an area where we focus and dive deep into what an event design is and all the facets about designing an event, the creativity, the intellectual property that takes place during that particular section. Event execution is in this area, and again, that's a huge area, how to plan an event for any number of people and all the moving pieces in that process leading up to it, the day of the setup, the load in, the tear down, the execution, all those things. I'm actually having a meeting in 2 hours, a production meeting for my online, and we're doing our ceremony record. So oh my God, it's a week and a half away. And we're doing that production meeting in a couple of hours. So the event execution obviously is a very big part of it, and that's a really large section. It has almost an entire page of the blueprint all to itself. So it's an area where you'd want to focus a lot of attention to. External communication, it's a lower weighting of 4 to 7%, but it's still a very important part. Every part of the event blueprint or exam blueprint is important. The weightings kind of guide you as to how many questions you may or may not expect on a test. And in event external communication, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about recruitment resources, advertising strategies, public relations strategies, social media, mobile app, website. And now a lot of you go, oh my God, like I don't do any of that. There's other people that do that for me. Well, this is the time where you want to reach out to those partners that you work with and say, can we just have a coffee and can you just talk to me about what that process is so that you understand it. So it's all about understanding. You don't necessarily have to do the implementation, but you do have to understand why, the how, and the what of each of these areas, if that makes sense. And then professional conduct has a 2 to 4% weighting, and that's all about upholding the standards of a professional within the industry for clients and the industry as a whole. And yeah, just holding that highest ethical and professional standards, adopting an attitude of lifelong learning, and complies with government and regulatory requirements, which is super, super important. So what I would do, what I did do is I printed off at the time the core curriculum and now the exam blueprint, and I looked for my own resources to find out what those things meant and how it worked for me. And how I would go about implementing or making sure that I'm ticking all those boxes off. I really, really relied heavily on the Apex templates that were available. I still, to this day, use the Apex event specification guide. It forces you to go through your entire event from beginning to end and plan it out. The Apex glossary is also a great way to study. It is a huge resource of definitions. And it's very helpful to learn. What I had at the time, because it was a few years back, you could print it off, and I did that. And what I did was, if I knew it, I didn't spend any time on it. If I didn't know it, that's when I kind of started to do a little deeper dive into what those terms meant, and how to use them, and if I'd ever had any experience with them. And then I just kept refreshing the ones that I didn't know. Yeah, if you have the chance to talk to current CSEPs, I do know that I think it's the Southwest region is hosting a panel discussion next on the 14th. I can't remember what day that is. On the 14th, I'm actually part of that panel. If they opened it up, that anybody can attend. So if you go to, I think I posted it in the interest of the potential CSEP page, but registration is still open. It's a virtual event, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 of us on the panel, and we'll go in a little bit about our experience and how things, what worked and what didn't work for us. You can learn about study strategies that people used. Yeah, and if you have the chance, I've done this myself. I've gone for dinner and or drinks with a number of potential CSEPs and just had a conversation. They just asked me a million questions and I answered what I can. Now we are bound, because I was part of the testing things, we are bound to privacy, and I can't answer specific things about the test and what that content is, but I can certainly talk to you about my experiences and what I would, the areas that you could focus on in, mostly I ask the question, so when you're planning an event, what are your steps? And then I look for the gaps, and then I say, okay, these are the gaps that I think you should fill in. So that's one way of looking at how to start to prepare for the exam. Should we maybe look at some questions, Brian? I can see them rolling in.
I am seeing them rolling in, and I've been typing answers as quickly as I can. So let's see. So yes, the application fee is $350 for those of you that have not been previously approved, and then the exam fee is $350, and that's per attempt. So this is not not what I would call a profit pricing setup. It looks like it's asking whether the cost is being passed on. ILEA has invested well into the 6 figures just in the past year to develop this exam, and there is a cost for the ongoing psychometrician analysis, the testing site, the hosting, the exam fees. So really the cost of this program is how we determine the pricing. It's not designed to be a massive revenue generator, although we would like for enough people to take it that it is really sustaining the program and having a positive effect on ILEA's sustainability. I really like what Sarah is saying, and thank you, Sarah, for referring or paying attention to all of the questions as they come in regarding the CSEP versus the CMP. I don't think I could improve upon your answer there. Let's see what else we've seen. The new blueprint does replace the old outline. So an entirely new psychometric analysis was done, a new job task analysis to come up with what the modern tasks are of an events professional, or our ideal CSEP are. So please refer to the new documents. We've updated the ILEA website, and we continuously we've been doing updates every day or two, really, with new information and expanding what's available. So recently we added a recommended reading list, which was a hand-picked, curated list of the most useful or most common references for questions that are actually on the exam. So you'll see that some of these were referenced in 8, 7, 14, 12 questions on the exam. So it just gives you an idea of how frequently some of these resources contributed to the content. So that actually that went up.
Brian, is that recommended reading list now on the website? That's awesome, because that was one of the questions. Perfect.
Yes, so now it's online. We do recommend that you check it out. However, the CSEP is an experience-based certification. So
Yes,
it isn't a memorization exam. It's not something where you need to study and memorize a specific information, but these are books, mostly books that really informed a lot of our subject matter experts as they developed the exam.
So one of the questions that was also asked was, has the Apex glossary been updated at all since last year? I think that is a living document. I think it is updated constantly. I do not know that as 100%, but it is online right now and pretty user-friendly. You can go through it by alphabet or by subject, or if you know the term that you're looking for. I would definitely reference what's online. I don't think any of the meanings would change, but some of the words, some of the terms might not be as readily used now. So that's I would definitely go to the online version. In the Apex guide, if you could show us, do you know where that is on this? Show us where that is. Oh, it was part of the recommended reading list, and there's it's called the Industry Glossary or Apex Guide. So it is used a couple of different times. It's on the Event Industry Council website, but we do have a live link right there on the Prepare for Exam. So it is there. You can see how you can browse by ABCD. So it is there. I'm just going to go through and see what other things beside the practice events, share more information on additional study materials. We already talked about that. One of the ways, a great way to study is to actually, beside the practice exam, which I think is hugely beneficial, because it gives you an idea of the scope of knowledge we're looking for, especially in those, I think it was 12 or 15 essay questions, where you basically built the skeleton of an exam or of an event. And I wrote a workshop for very similar to that, Prepare. And you talk about budget, you talk about, you talk about the initial planning and design concept, you talk about setting goals and objectives, you talk about analyzing risk, you talk about budget development, and then you go into the event elements of it, like what do you need when it comes to hotels, what do you need for food and bev, what do you need for decor, and going through all of that process. And that, like I had mentioned, that Apex event specification guide forces you to go through all those steps as well. And so do a couple of mock events, take the time, spend the time to plan something really, really comprehensive, come up with a concept, come up with a scenario, whether it's a charity event and your client has one or two things that absolutely must be included, or whether it's a fundraiser, or whether it's a big giant celebration, like someone's 50th birthday and they want 100 people. Put the effort into planning that, writing it down, documenting it, make it kind of like a template that you follow. That would be really, really helpful. We got one of the questions asking how much work and studying would it take for a non-event planner to be successful at writing this test. So if you don't plan events, but you are part of the event industry, it might take a little bit more. You might want to actually take some of the education that is like event planning 101, look at some project management kind of tools if project management isn't part of your role. I think one of the things that you can always do is you could equate what you do in your sector of the industry and how you could translate that to planning an event. So if you are in the rentals industry and you have clients, you can look beyond what the service you're providing them, shadow an event planner for a couple of days, volunteer at an event, or even take a job at an event and work side by side with someone who plans an event so you can kind of get that. I think that would be an important aspect for someone who doesn't actually plan. We do recognize these are pretty hard times. At this particular time, we do not have a payment plan other than the application fee is $350, and you don't have to pay the second $350 until you actually sit for the exam. What's the window of that, Brian? Do they have to have it paid within a week, 2 weeks? Like, how does that work?
No, so the application fee, basically your application won't be reviewed until the application fee is paid. So if you submit the application with the uploaded payment form, once it gets processed by ILEA staff, then it will be sent along for review, and you'll be informed, that you're approved to schedule the exam. When you actually go to schedule the exam through our testing company's site that they're setting up, that's when you'll pay the exam fee. So there is no requirement that you do that within a certain amount of time. Your approval is largely experience-based, so it will likely remain valid, indefinitely. So you can take the exam when you're ready, and that's when the $350 is due. Once you do pay the $350, though, the exam fee, you have 365 days to schedule that attempt. So if you wait more than a year, then you'll forfeit that fee, and you'll have to pay again. But most people will certainly take the exam within a year, and then if you do not pass on an attempt, there is a 30-day waiting period in between attempts to allow you some time to take a breath, review your results, maybe do a little bit of reading, or interact, with your peers. But there isn't a limit to how many retakes you can have. It's just a matter of paying that fee every time to cover the cost.
Brian, can you place the link to the blueprint into the chat box again? We've been asked for that again. And then someone's having some difficulty with the reading list. Do we have that in a document that we can share? So we would have everyone's emails from their registration, so maybe we can send that out.
We can send out information to folks. Yes, we don't have it in a PDF or document, but we will be able to send people links to the reading list, so that you can see it on the ILEA website.
So we do have Mary Ellen Miller as a CSEP and a CTEP, and when she was preparing for the exam some years ago, she used the outline as a guide and plugged in an actual event with details for each aspect of the outline. And it is a very effective way to prepare for the new blueprint because it's very similar to what I did with the CSEP Around the World workshop that I did last October. And it is basically building an event and making sure that you use the blueprint as your checklist and kind of saying, okay, well, if part of the testing is on evaluating project scope, how am I doing that when I'm creating this event design in my head? And so that is a very, very good way of addressing studying. I don't have conference event experience at all, but special event fundraising experience, that is going to be a problem for me on the exam. No, Renee, it won't be a problem to not have specific conference event experience. This is an overall knowledge. It is specifically not geared to one type of event. So in the previous exam, the scenarios, you were given 2 to choose from. And on this particular exam, like I said, it's all multiple choice, but there are a number of questions that are based on I want to say scenario, is that the right word? Or I can't remember if that's the right word.
We have case
study.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have like event cases, and then there'll be like a succession of questions. So they'll give you kind of a scope of what that case is about, and then they'll ask questions towards that. So you would be able to, I would think that you should be able to answer the question, like it wouldn't be so specific that you would only do it at a conference type thing. That's not what we're going for that we were going for in the question writing list. I think we've already answered where's the reading list. We've shown that, and we've provided the link in the thing. So just a complete CSEP. Here's my peers. I'm going to look at that after. Other webinars to help with education on the ILEA members only portion of the website. Yes, in the hub, there is a huge bank of education opportunities. And so if there's an area where you're unsure about, whether it's project management, budget design, or whatever, look in that hub and find out. We have that shared resource with MPI of a ton of webinars that you can take. So there is a massive amount of education opportunities behind that ILEA hub wall. Between now and the test, I think most of the chapters are starting to launch their new education for the year. So check out what's happening. A lot of the chapters are still doing virtual events. A couple of them are doing some live or integrated or hybrid type of events. So just check out what's out there and what's available for both members and non-members. That would be great. Volunteer experience can be very valuable for sure. And it is a great way if you are a part of the sector but not a planner to get the holistic picture of what a planner does. Shadow someone. Like I said, I've mentored a number of CSEP candidates and a number of them have been successful. So it's been great. One of them is on the CSEP committee this year, which is wonderful. He attended the workshop that I did last fall and was successful in his test. So it was really great. 2 others took my workshop and also succeeded. So developing a relationship with the CSEP and looking for that mentor-mentee kind of mentality, that's absolutely advantageous. So that's what we've covered everything, and we've also managed to address a whole bunch of questions. It looks like there were 45 questions answered so far. One of the questions, these are a couple of comments. Well, this says, will there be case studies pertaining to our current state being COVID-19? Being hybrid and or visual, I can't answer specific to that because it's a bank of questions and they are randomly selected. So I can't ask specifically. What I can do is that we were writing exam questions during the lockdown of COVID-19. So health, safety, risk mitigation, all things that are definitely part of the focus of the exam and has has a weighting and a statement on the exam blueprint even prior to COVID. So it's something we always have to think about. The way you think about an event now and the way you design it is a little bit different about, okay, how many touch points will someone have as they're walking through the event space, and how do you keep everyone 6 feet apart? I typically had a platform party of over 200 people on stage for our convocation. This year there's 22 because they all have to be 6 feet apart. So you know, it's those kind of logic and reasoning that you'll have to implement as you're reading the questions and answering those questions. Did I miss anything, Brian?
So I've answered some of the questions, but one thing that did come up was asking about how long the CSEP is valid for. So that is one thing that we didn't mention specifically. The CSEP, once you are certified, that is valid for 5 years. And then every 5 years, you recertify. The cost of recertification currently is $200. So really spread over 5 years, that's it's about $40 a year to maintain ultimately, which is pretty competitive. I think that's a pretty good price. But certainly you've got it for a while once you pass, and there is information on recertifying, on what the requirements are, the different ways that you can get points, all on the ILEA website on the CSEP pages. And I do see that somebody has shared that on here as well. But we do have as much information as we have available right now on the ILEA website. Basically, going to any of those links to a portion of the website, you'll see the menu. The CSEP section of the website, of the ILEA website, is different from the rest of the website. It has its own menu system, so you'll be able to kind of navigate through and see all the information that we have available right now. And again, it is being updated almost daily with new information. Additionally, I do have our resources slide up. So that ileahub.com /CSEP, that is the main CSEP page. That's kind of your hub to get to everywhere else. We also have a Facebook CSEP interested candidate group. That is a Facebook group within the ILEA page, where people can connect. If you are looking for people in your region, or just people that are online on Facebook, are available and interested in, you know, maybe forming a study group, maybe you know, buddying up and looking at resources together and getting ready, and, you know, kind of getting comfortable with sitting for the exam, that's a great place to start. And then, Jody.
Sorry, I just have two more that I would really like to say. Do you have to rewrite the test every 5 years? No, it's a recertification process, and you have to accumulate a certain number of points. I think it's at 25 points in various areas: professional development, sustainability, involvement involvement and membership into industry-related associations and so on. And so you don't retake the test, you just resubmit, you do a recertification process. So that should answer that. And someone asked, because they were late getting on the thing. They were in the UK. It's Elaine O'Connor. And yes, it is now remotely proctored. So you take the exams now in your own home. You need a computer, you need a camera, and then there is a proctor that will watch as you're taking the exam. And so it is fully accessible worldwide, no testing centers, done in the privacy and the comfort of your own home. So that really helps. How do you measure these points if you're not based in the US and the system is different? I'm not quite sure what that question is, Dunton.
If you're asking about points for recertification, they should be
They're not
valid.
US focused. I'm Canadian and I had way more points than I needed. It's all about the interactions. It's not about specific things that are happening in a country.
Right, definitely. And two other pieces of information. When you do take the exam, in order to, okay, that was about recertification. Yes, those should be valid. They shouldn't be US or measurement specific. I don't think we have any.
No, there's nothing that's specific to a region.
No ounces or pounds or miles or anything.
Yeah.
It's based on time. And then when you do take the exam, we have set it up so that you'll have access to a digital calculator through the platform. So you won't need to bring anything. There isn't, it's not a math test, but you will be able to have a notepad that's virtual and a calculator that's virtual. So you'll be able to take notes that are tied to each question. So while you're taking the exam, you can, take notes or type stuff. And then if you move to a new question, you'll get a new notepad. But if you go back, you'll be able to see your notes that are attached to the question that you're on. But this is just a way for the proctors to be able to really easily know that you're in a secure location and that you're not sneaking in notes or anything like that. So we have it set up to give you a digital workspace to do any note taking or calculation that you might feel necessary. So you won't be able to bring any actual calculator or paper, with you. But the proctor will be able to explain that all to you. And you don't need to have rocket fast internet speed. You just need something reliable. And you'll just need a computer with a webcam and high-speed internet. So long as it's not dial-up or malfunctioning, you should be fine.
Well, it is after 12, and I think I answered the last question right now. Oh, I forgot to press send. Oh, no, there was just one more. We'll look at that, but we want to wrap it up for just be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you so much for joining us. Brian, if you could just pop our contact information one more time into the bottom of the chat, that would be great. And maybe we can even just send an email out to everyone with our 2 contact informations. That was wrong, but whatever. So again, wish everyone success. Feel free to reach out to any one of us, Brian, myself. I think you were going to put the entire committee in there. You can find us on the ILEA website as well. And we'd love to ask your question. We'd love to welcome you to the CSEP community. It's a great designation and it is a great community. So hopefully we'll see you all in the coming months. Take care, everyone. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep. Thank you so much. And I did just share all of our contact information. I'll make sure that we get the attendee list together and send a follow-up to all so that you have easy access to all this information. And
are we planning on, we're going to post this recording, right? We're going to post this session online somewhere?
Yes, yeah. We're recording it, so we'll probably tweak a little bit, take some of the beginning off so that you don't have to see us all figuring it out. But yeah, we'll post it on the website and it'll be available for you all too. So we're really excited about how many applications we've already received. And great. We really do hope that, I think there are another 50 or so people that have started applications and haven't submitted them. So we would love to see every one of you submitting an application over the next couple of weeks. That would make us super busy, but super excited. So
very happy, yeah.
A good kind of busy. So it's a great way to, especially if you're stuck at home right now, like most of us are, use that time to invest in, adding to your marketability and your job security. And the CSEP is a really great way to advance your career. So we look forward to seeing your name on that list in the coming months.
All right. Well, take care, everyone, and we'll sign off now. Thanks.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.